I'm Inês and I will moderate the second session for the health issue of today. We will start with an invited oral communication followed by 6 oral presentations. Just a reminder for the participants of the Congress, you can leave your questions in the comment sections of the live streaming in YouTube, and you can also consult and download the posters on the Congress website. Without further ado, and because we are a little bit late, I would like to present our guest for the oral communication, Dr. Ana Novo. Good morning, Dr. Barros. Hope everything is okay with you. Dr. Barros is an assistant professor with habilitation at the chemistry department of UTAD, and also the director from the Center for the Research and Technology of Agro-Environmental and Biological Science, named CITAB. Her area of expertise is the valorization of byproducts, taking into account the circular economy and industrial symbiosis, and her work has been recognized with the attribution of several prizes and awards. Congratulations, Dr. Barros. Today, the work that Dr. Barros will be presenting for us today is entitled Fighting Diabetic Foot Ulcers Resorting to Winery Byproducts, Grape Stems Case. Dr. Barros, you have 8 to 10 minutes for your presentations, and I will pass it on to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. And before I start my communication, I just would like to tell you that I'm going to do this in the memory of my father that just died last week with a degenerative disease. And I'm really a believer that natural compounds can be so helpful for the prevention and for the treatment of this and other diseases of our time. Now I'm going to share my communication.
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. And now starting with the presentation. And before everything, I would like to thank to the organizing committee the opportunity and the invitation to present a work that has been developed in the University of Trás-os-Montes and Alto Douro, in particular in the Center for the Research and Technology of Agro-Environmental and Biological Sciences, CITAB. The work that I'm going to present is entitled Fighting Diabetic Foot Ulcers Resorting to Winery Byproducts, Grape Stems Case. This is the culmination of several years of work in the valorization of grape stems cultivars, giving them an added value. My presentation is divided in 5 topics: the introduction, the objectives, the material and methods, the results, the results in discussion, and the conclusions. Starting by the introduction, the antibiotic resistance is one of the biggest public health challenges of our time. Around the world, it is well established that about 2.8 million people get an antibiotic-resistant infection, and more than 35 million people die because of this. So our time with antibiotics is running out. Antibiotic resistance is a public health problem worldwide, having an impact in morbidity and/or mortality rates, especially in developing countries. According to the World Health Organization, in 2050, the antibiotic resistance will be the biggest cause of death worldwide, overcoming deaths from cancer, for example. One of the main causes of hospitalization are diabetic foot ulcer infections, mostly caused by Staphylococcus aureus, and due to the frequent use of antibiotics, Staphylococcus aureus strains have developed resistance to treatment. To combat the bacterial resistance, alternative antibiotics should be developed to overcome the effectiveness of the currently available. That's how it comes the grape stems case. Grape production is one of the main economic activities in the agri-food sector around the world. It is estimated that 52% of the production goes to the winery industry, whereas large quantities of byproducts are generated, namely organic residues, just like grape pomace, seeds, pulp, skins, grape leaves, grape stems, and wine leaves. Grape stems, which correspond to 25% of the total byproducts, is less characterized and evaluated of the all byproducts generated in the winery industry, although it represents up to 7% of the raw material processed. Primarily, the grapes are harvested and before the vinification process, the stems are removed since their presence increases the astringency due to its richness in proanthocyanidins, affecting the wine's quality. So, usually it is discarded in open areas or used for composting, but it can cause some environmental problems and consequently it can compromise the sustainability and the competitiveness of this industry. So it is very important the adoption of new approaches, providing the application of these byproducts in the development of innovative and added value products that can be used not only in food but also in cosmetic and pharmaceutical industries, since they are rich in bioactive compounds that present important biological properties for human health. These biological compounds are mainly flavonoids, stilbenes, phenolic acids, and condensed tannins. Due to the presence of these bioactive compounds, this matrix presents important biological properties such as anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, neuroprotective, anti-tumor activity. So it is very important to develop new products to combat antimicrobial resistance against not only against food diabetic ulcers, but also against other antimicrobial resistance. Thus, the objectives or main goals of this work are the identification and quantification of polyphenols present in grape stems from different varieties by spectrophotometric and chromatographic methodologies, the determination of antioxidant capacity of ethanolic extracts of grape stems, and the evaluation of antimicrobial activity not only from diabetic foot wound bacteria, but also against gastrointestinal bacteria from patients from the hospitalar center. To achieve these main goals, our sample was composed by 6 grape stems varieties, 4 red varieties and 2 white varieties, and all the samples were collected in Quinta do Pinto in Alenquer. The grape stem extracts preparation was according with this procedure using food ethanol as solvent once it is an environmental friendly solvent and it is also compatible with food, pharmaceutical and cosmetic industries. For the quantification of the phenolic composition, we have used the following methods for the determination of total phenols content, the complexation with aluminum chloride for flavonoids determination, and complexation with molybdate for the orthodiphenols content determination. The qualitative and quantitative analysis of phenolic compounds was done by HPLC, and for the identification of the phenolic compounds, it was taking into account the standards, the rotation times, order of evolution, UV spectra, and literature data. For the antioxidant capacity determination, it has been applied the ABTS, DPPH, and FRAP methodologies. For the antimicrobial activity evaluation, and as I told you in the objectives, we have used gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, not only from the foot diabetic ulcers, but also from the gastrointestinal tracts. So we have used the 2 different methodologies, the disk diffusion assay and the minimum inhibitory concentrations. We have used it as negative control, the MSO, and as positive control 2 antibiotics, gentamicin and ciprofloxacin. So as a result of our work, I can show you that about the phenolic content of the grape stems that we have studied, the total phenols and orthodiphenols presented the same behavior, and you can observe that Auriga Nacional is the variety that presents the highest amount for these 2 parameters, and they are significantly different from the others. And about the flavonoids content, Although Fernão-Pires is the variety that presents the highest value, it was not significantly different from Touriga Nacional and Tinta Roriz. About the identification of the phenolic compounds, we have identified in the all variety extracts with the difference of the anthocyanins that were just identified in the red varieties, 11 compounds that were grouped in phenolic acids, flavonoids, and stilbenes. Once the antioxidant activity is correlated with content of phenolic compounds, once again, Touriga Nacional presents the highest levels, and in all the methodologies used, the values are significantly different from the other varieties. About the antimicrobial activity of grape stem extracts and by the disc diffusion assay, concerning gram-positive bacteria, all the studied varieties revealed the inhibition of bacterial growth, and in some cases this antimicrobial activity revealed to be highest than the antibiotics that didn't reveal any activity against two bacteria. In gram-negative bacteria, grape stem extracts only inhibited the growth of Pseudomonas aeruginosa. I can also tell you that, sorry, I'm passing this part. I can also tell you that in the concentrations tested, the extracts from Touriga Nacional and Syrah presented the best results affecting the specific growth rate of Staphylococcus aureus isolates and revealed a bacteriostatic effect. So, as a conclusion of this work, we can say that grape stem is an effective matrix in the inhibition of gram-positive bacteria, especially for two of the bacteria studied. The grape stem extracts that presented antimicrobial activity revealed to be more effective than the antibiotics that were tested. And finally, we can say that grape stem can be reused for the cosmetic, pharmaceutical, and food industries. However, further studies are needed. To finish my presentation, I would like to thank the collaborators of this work, Professor Maria José Saavedra, Professor Eduardo, Dr. Irene Calvinhas, and Dr. Carla Dias. And sorry, but it has a problem. I don't know why. I would like just to show you some photos of our campus. I think that you can see it and invite you, all of you, to join us in UTAD when this pandemic situation finishes. Thank you very much.
Dr. Barros, thank you for your presentations. First of all, in the name of the Congress organization, we would like to show you our condolences for your father. It is a beautiful gesture that you show him tribute with your work, with an excellent work. So he would be very proud, of course. Dr. Barros, I would just like you to ask you two questions. Do you perform like a correlation study between the composition in phenolic compounds and the biological effects that you study? And do you believe there are other type of compounds present in the samples that you study that are responsible for the biological activities that you want to study?
Well, we are studying the grape stems in two different situations. We are studying the biological compounds about the phytochemical composition, and in that case, we have made the correlation also in the individual compounds. We have made the HPLC preparative, and we have seen that, for example, some white varieties presented biggest antibacterial activity than the red varieties, and we have seen that in some cases it was the presence of the vinifrin, for example, that was responsible for that activity. The other study that we are making, it's about the macromolecules that are present in grape stems, just like cellulose, hemicellulose,
Yeah.
tannins. And so this is two different kind of studies that we are in course.
Thank you